6 years after running away with her BF, my younger sis came back and my mom forgot all that I had done for her. Now she is being arrested for what she did. I, 27F, have been living with my mom for the past 6 years, ever since my younger sister Kate, 26F, ran away with her boyfriend Matt, 28M. It's been a challenging time and now things have taken an unexpected turn. Let me give you the full story. Kate and Matt started dating when they were in high school. Kate was 16 and Matt was 18. From the moment they got together, they were inseparable. Kate would spend every free moment with Matt, often skipping family dinners or events to be with him. At first, my mom and I tried to be understanding. We remembered what it was like to be young and in love. But as time went on, we started to have serious concerns about Matt and his influence on Kate. Matt wasn't a good student. He barely scraped by in his classes and seemed more interested in partying than planning for his future. He started drinking heavily when he was still in high school, and by the time he graduated, he was smoking regularly too. Kate would come home smelling of smoke and alcohol, and her grades started to slip. My mom and I tried to talk to Kate about our concerns. We pointed out how Matt's behavior was affecting her school performance and her relationships with the rest of the family. But Kate wouldn't listen. She insisted that we didn't know Matt like she did, that he was misunderstood, and that she was helping him become a better person. Things came to a head when Kate was 18 and Matt was 20. It was my grandmother's 70th birthday, and we were having a big family celebration. Kate begged us to let her invite Matt, promising that he would be on his best behavior. Against our better judgment, we agreed. The party started well enough. Matt arrived on time and was polite to everyone. But as the evening wore on, it became clear that he had been drinking before he arrived. He got louder and more obnoxious, making inappropriate jokes and trying to get Kate to leave the party with him. When my uncle gently suggested that maybe Matt should call it a night, Matt exploded. He started yelling at my uncle, calling him names and accusing him of trying to control Kate. He knocked over the cake table in his anger, ruining the beautiful cake my aunt had spent hours making. Kate tried to calm him down, but he pushed her away. Finally, my cousins had to physically remove him from the house. The next day, my mom and I sat Kate down for a serious talk. We told her that we couldn't stand by and watch her throw her life away for someone who clearly had no respect for her or her family. We explained that Matt's behavior was not normal or acceptable, and that we were worried about where their relationship was heading. Kate got defensive. She accused us of never giving Matt a chance, of judging him unfairly. She insisted that he was going through a rough patch, and that she could help him if we would just be more supportive. That's when my mom lost her patience. She told Kate that she had to choose, either her family or Matt. Looking back, I wonder if we pushed too hard, but at the time, we truly believed we were doing what was best for Kate. We never expected her to actually choose Matt over us. That night, while my mom and I were asleep, Kate packed a bag and left. She left a note saying she was going to live with Matt and that we shouldn't try to contact her. We were devastated. The next few years were really tough. My mom was heartbroken. She blamed herself for Kate's departure, wondering if she had been too harsh or if she had missed signs that Kate was so unhappy. I tried my best to support her both emotionally and financially. I had just finished college when Kate left, and I had been planning to move out and start my own life. Instead, I decided to stay home and help my mom. I got a part-time job at a local bookstore to help with the bills. It wasn't what I had envisioned for my life, but I couldn't bear the thought of leaving my mom alone. As the years passed, we tried to move on with our lives. But Kate's absence was always felt. Every holiday, every family gathering, there was an empty seat at the table. My mom would often talk about how much she missed Kate, wondering where she was and if she was okay. She'd say things like, "I wish I had never given her that ultimatum. Maybe if I had been more understanding, she'd still be here." I had my own complicated feelings about the situation. Part of me was angry at Kate for leaving, for choosing Matt over her family. But another part of me missed my little sister and worried about her. We had always been close growing up, and it felt like there was a hole in my life where she used to be. We tried to find Kate a few times over the years. We reached out to her old friends, checked social media, even hired a private investigator at one point. But Kate didn't want to be found. The few leads we got suggested that she and Matt were moving around a lot, never staying in one place for long. So, life went on. I worked my way up to manager at the bookstore. I dated a bit, but nothing serious. Most of my energy went into my job and taking care of my mom. It wasn't always easy, but we had found a kind of stability. Then yesterday happened. I came home from work, expecting another quiet evening with my mom. Instead, I walked into the living room to find Kate sitting on our couch, a small boy of about 3 years old asleep in her lap. For a moment, I thought I was hallucinating. Kate looked so different from the teenage girl who had left us. She was thinner, with dark circles under her eyes, and a weariness in her face that made her look older than her 26 years. The little boy had Matt's dark hair. My mom was sitting next to them, her arm around Kate's shoulders. She looked up when I came in, her eyes filled with a mix of joy and apprehension. "Honey," she said quietly, "Kate's come home." I stood there, frozen, unable to process what I was seeing. Kate gave me a small, uncertain smile. "Hi, sis," she said softly. It was my mom who finally broke the silence and explained the situation. Matt had left Kate and their son, whose name is Ethan, about 6 months ago. Kate had struggled to make ends meet on her own, working 2 jobs while trying to care for Ethan. Finally, she had swallowed her pride and come back to ask for help. My mom had already decided that Kate and Ethan would stay with us. She said it wasn't even a question. They were family, and family takes care of each other. I listened to all this in a kind of daze. Part of me was glad to see that Kate was safe, relieved that she had gotten away from Matt. But another part of me was furious. Furious that Kate thought she could just walk back into our lives after 6 years of silence. Furious that my mom had made this huge decision, without even consulting me. When my mom finished explaining, I exploded. I demanded to know why I hadn't been included in this decision. I pointed out that I had been the one supporting our household for the past 6 years, that I had put my own life on hold to take care of Mom, and now I was just expected to accept 2 more people into our home without any say in the matter. Kate started crying, apologizing over and over. She said she knew she had no right to ask for our help, but she didn't know what else to do. My mom tried to calm me down, saying that Kate and Ethan needed us, that we couldn't turn our backs on them. I stormed out of the house, needing some air and time to think. I walked around the neighborhood for hours, trying to sort out my feelings. On one hand, I understand that Kate is in a desperate situation. She's a single mother with a young child, and she needs help. And Ethan is an innocent in all this. He shouldn't have to suffer for his parents' mistakes. But on the other hand, I can't help feeling angry. Kate made her choice 6 years ago. She chose Matt over us, left us without a word, and now she expects to be welcomed back with open arms? And what about the past 6 years of my life? I've worked hard to support my mom and keep our household going. Now I'm expected to support Kate and Ethan too. There are practical concerns as well. Our house isn't very big. Where are Kate and Ethan going to sleep? And what about the financial strain? My bookstore job pays decently, but it's not enough to support 4 people. Will Kate be able to find work? Who will take care of Ethan while she's working? When I finally came back home, Kate and Ethan were asleep in my old room. My mom was waiting up for me. She tried to talk to me about the situation, but I was too exhausted and emotionally drained to discuss it further. This morning, the reality of the situation really hit me. Kate was in the kitchen when I came down for breakfast, making pancakes like she used to when we were kids. Ethan was coloring at the table, chattering away about his favorite cartoon. My mom was smiling more than I'd seen her smile in years. For a moment, it was like the past 6 years had never happened. We were a family again, whole and happy. But then I remembered everything that had transpired, all the pain and loneliness of the past 6 years, and the warm feeling evaporated. I left for work without saying much. All day, I've been distracted, unable to focus on my tasks. My coworkers noticed and asked if everything was okay, but how could I even begin to explain? Now I'm sitting here, trying to figure out what to do. I know my mom wants Kate and Ethan to stay. She sees this as a second chance, an opportunity to rebuild our family, and I can see how happy it makes her to have Kate back, to be a grandmother to Ethan. But I'm struggling to let go of my anger and resentment. I feel like Kate is being rewarded for her bad choices while I'm being taken for granted. I've been the responsible one, the one who stayed and took care of things, and now I'm expected to just adapt to this new situation without complaint. At the same time, I feel guilty for these thoughts. Isn't family supposed to be about forgiveness and second chances? Am I being selfish for not wanting to help my sister and nephew when they're clearly in need? I don't know what the right thing to do is. Part of me wants to put my foot down, to say that Kate and Ethan can't stay. But I know that would break my mom's heart and potentially leave Kate and Ethan with nowhere to go. Another part of me thinks I should just accept the situation and try to make the best of it. Maybe this could be a chance to rebuild my relationship with Kate, to get to know my nephew. But I'm afraid of being hurt again, of opening my heart only to have Kate leave us once more. So Reddit, I turn to you for judgment and advice. Am I being selfish and unforgiving, or are my feelings justified? And what should I do now? How do I navigate this complicated family situation without losing my mind or destroying my relationships? I feel lost and conflicted, torn between my lingering anger at Kate and my love for my family. Any insights or advice would be greatly appreciated. Update. I really need to post this. I never expected my day to take such a dramatic turn. I was at work, trying to focus on my tasks despite the turmoil at home, when I received a call from my mom. Her voice was shaking as she told me that the police had come to our house and arrested Kate. I was stunned. What could Kate have possibly done to warrant an arrest? I left work immediately and rushed to the police station. When I arrived, I found my mom already there, looking pale and shocked. An officer sat us down and explained the situation. What he told us left us reeling. It turned out that Kate and Matt's life over the past 6 years was nothing like we had imagined. They hadn't been struggling to make ends meet or trying to build a better life. Instead, they had been involved in a series of cons and scams. The officer explained that Kate and Matt had developed a routine. They would move to a new town, and Kate would seek out wealthy married men. She would seduce them and start affairs. Meanwhile, Matt would gather evidence of these affairs, photos, videos, text messages. Then they would use this evidence to blackmail the men, threatening to expose their infidelity unless they paid up. I felt sick listening to this. I couldn't believe that my sister, the girl I grew up with, could be capable of such manipulation and deceit. But as the officer continued, it only got worse. Their latest target had been a man with significant wealth and powerful connections. Kate had seduced him, and he had fallen for her act completely. He believed she was a single mother struggling to care for her son. He had given her money, helped her find a place to live, even talked about leaving his wife for her. But then he discovered the truth. He found out about Matt, realized that Kate was married, and uncovered their whole operation. Instead of giving in to their blackmail attempts, he used his connections to set a trap for them. Matt was caught first. He had been arrested a week ago in another city. Kate had managed to escape, and that's when she had come to us. She hadn't told us anything about what was really going on. She had used us as a hiding place, putting us at risk without a second thought. The police had been tracking Kate and finally traced her to our house. That's why they had come to arrest her. The officer told us that Kate was facing serious charges, fraud, blackmail, and possibly even prostitution. She was likely looking at significant jail time. As for Ethan, child services had been notified. However, given that my mom and I were his closest relatives and had no involvement in Kate's crimes, we would likely be given the option to take custody of him if we wanted. I sat there, trying to process all of this information. I felt a whirlwind of emotions: shock, anger, betrayal, sadness. I looked at my mom and saw tears streaming down her face. She looked broken, as if her whole world had shattered. We were allowed to see Kate briefly. She was in a holding cell, her face streaked with tears. When she saw us, she broke down sobbing, begging us to help her. She swore she never meant for things to go this far, that she and Matt had just been desperate for money at first, and then things had spiraled out of control. I didn't know what to say to her. Part of me wanted to yell at her, to demand how she could have done this, how she could have lied to us and used us. But seeing her there behind bars looking so small and scared, I couldn't find the words. In the end, I just told her that we would look after Ethan and left. The next few days were a blur. We had to deal with lawyers, child services, and the press who had gotten wind of the story. Our quiet life had been turned upside down. Ethan was placed in our care temporarily while the legal process unfolded. He didn't understand what was happening, only that his mommy was gone and he was living with us now. It broke my heart to see him asking for Kate, not knowing if or when he would see her again. My mom was devastated. She blamed herself, wondering if she had done something wrong in raising Kate, if there were signs she had missed. I tried to comfort her, but I was struggling with my own emotions. I felt angry at Kate for putting us through this, for lying to us and using us. But I also felt guilty. I had been so focused on my own hatred when Kate came back that I hadn't noticed anything was wrong. Should I have seen through her act? Could I have prevented this somehow? As the days passed, we had to make some difficult decisions. We decided to take full custody of Ethan. Despite everything, he was our family, and we couldn't bear the thought of him ending up in the foster system. It meant significant changes to our lives. I had to adjust my work schedule. We had to rearrange the house to make room for him, and we had to figure out childcare and eventually schooling. We also had to decide how to handle Kate's legal situation. After much discussion, we decided to hire a lawyer for her, but made it clear that we wouldn't be able to pay any fines or restitution on her behalf. Our resources had to go towards taking care of Ethan now. As the weeks went by, we settled into a new routine. Ethan started to adjust to living with us, though he still had nightmares and would cry for Kate sometimes. My mom threw herself into caring for him, seeming to find some healing in her role as a grandmother. I found myself in a strange new role, part sister, part aunt, part reluctant parent. It wasn't easy, but seeing Ethan smile or hearing his laughter made it worth it. And in a way, caring for him helped me process my feelings about Kate. I could see so much of her in him, reminders of the sister I used to know and love. We visited Kate in jail a few times. It was always difficult, seeing her in that environment, knowing what she had done. She expressed remorse for her actions and for dragging us into her mess. She thanked us for taking care of Ethan and said she hoped that one day we could forgive her. I don't know if forgiveness is possible yet. The hurt and betrayal are still too fresh. But I'm trying to focus on the present, on giving Ethan the stable, loving home he deserves. This whole experience has taught me that life can change in an instant. Family is complicated, and sometimes the people we love the most can hurt us deeply. But it's also shown me the strength of the bonds between my mom and me, and the capacity we have to love and care for others, even in the most difficult circumstances. I don't know what the future holds. Kate's trial is still pending, and we don't know how long she'll be in jail. Raising Ethan will undoubtedly bring new challenges, but for now, we're taking it one day at a time, trying to create a new normal in the wake of this family tragedy.